How we doing? How we doing? This is Destination Denver, Colorado, and today, affordable towns in Colorado. We're here to talk about two of the best, Brighton and Greeley, and we're starting right now. All right, this is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Everson. Listen, if you're interested in learning all the ins and outs, pros and cons to moving to or around the Denver metro or Front Range area, then this is a channel for you. So that subscribe button and notification icon you see on your screen, make sure you click on that as I'm dropping new videos for you each and every week. And as much as I try to be a little educational here on camera, I'm also a licensed mortgage broker covering the entire state of Colorado and team with some of the state's most talented realtors. And we're helping people move here each and every day. So the number and email you see on your screen, know that I am always the person, answer your phone calls, answer your texts, answer your emails. There, winning if you need me. Now that we're done with that fun-filled stuff, let's get to what we're here for and taking a look at Brighton and Greeley. All right, so we start today's adventure in Greeley, Colorado, located about 50 miles northeast of Denver and roughly 25 miles east of Fort Collins. Greeley was originally founded in 1859, named after Horace Greeley, a newspaper New York editor. I remember that from high school, but was reminded as I did research for this. Apparently that was the one day I paid attention in school. And Greeley is historically been farmland. Certainly a decent sized city or town now. It's one of northern Colorado's largest towns with a population sitting around 110,000. Now, it is also home to the University of Northern Colorado, UNC, one of the bigger universities in the state of Colorado. And we'll talk about the dynamic of Greeley, which certainly has some college town elements to it, but I don't think it's necessarily just a flat out college town per se. So when we look at Greeley, we talk about, again, one of northern Colorado's larger cities or towns, whichever you want to call it, sitting at a population as of 2023 of a little over 110,000. By Colorado standards, that's a pretty healthy sized town. We have Denver, Colorado Springs, and Aurora are sizable. After those, you don't really see a lot of towns or suburbs anywhere that are over, say, 140 to 150,000 people. So 110, especially in northern Colorado, is a decent sized town, one of the largest that you'll see. Within Greeley, obviously you've got a really great downtown area, some decent walkability with some shops and restaurants. A great park right there in downtown Greeley. And if any of you have watched my videos before, you know what a big fan I am of having some type of downtown area, which you would expect in a town like Greeley, you would expect. But a great downtown area there. Decent sized park, like I said, right there in the middle. On a sunny day, you see a lot of people just out and about enjoying it. Greeley is also home to a lot of the county buildings for Weld County, the county that Greeley is in. So you'll see a lot of that infrastructure there, City Hall, all of those things that you would expect. Some of the cooler neighborhoods to check out within Greeley include West Greeley is a great one, Glenmere, Promontory. Promontory is one that I kind of spent some time around as I was getting ready for this video. And within Greeley, anytime I'm really spending time, I've been to Greeley plenty of times, but spending time there getting ready for this video and flying my drone around, driving around, looking at different places, you really get a sense of some of these communities and some that are just really great. You have neighborhoods that have been around for decades and decades, have some older homes that always tend to be older homes, tend to have bigger lots and more maturity, but then you also have some newer construction, just a lot of different selections as far as housing. Now, among the amenities, if you would, of Greeley, you're going to talk about a lot of outdoor stuff, a lot of parks, a lot of hikes, a lot of fishing, which we'll get into. One of the things I found not even humorous, the Greeley Mall is very popular there. A lot of people go to the mall. Now, full disclosure, I went to the Greeley Mall and I went there with the intention of flying my drone. And I'm not even dogging on the mall itself. It's a mall. It's everything you would expect. When I say mall, it's what you would expect. The parking lot, the building. There wasn't anything necessarily where you're like, ooh, check that out. And so I admit I didn't get any video of the mall. I passed on that shot. It had been a long day. But the Greeley Mall, very popular. And Center Place of Greeley, again, one of the more popular areas for people to hang out in. Really cool. Another thing I like about Greeley is some of the community events they have. Among those community events, you have the Greeley Stampede. You get a little rodeo. You've got the Blues Jam up there. And then you also have the Festival of Trees, which I have not made yet. I've heard some good things, but I have not made the Festival of Trees yet. So these different community events, certainly popular there. And as I mentioned, like outdoors is very popular in Greeley. I mean, I think if you're in the state of Colorado one way or another, you tend to get outdoors. So the Poudre River Trail, outstanding. I actually did part of the trail while I was up there to do this video. I figured I might as well get outside, refresh myself. Glenmere Park, also very, and I apologize to locals, you can correct me. I meant to ask how I pronounce that, and I may. If I'm pronouncing a word wrong, I always wait, I'll get a comment, somebody will correct me, I'll never say it wrong in the future. But Glenmere Park, again, you just saw a lot of people hanging out. It's a very sunny day when I was up there. So just a great park to be in around. And you'll see plenty of hiking, plenty of fishing, some good camping areas, and that kind of that farmland feel. As far as schools, most of Greeley is covered by Greeley-Evans School District 6. Overall, they get pretty high ratings there in Greeley. Of course, I always tell people do your due diligence as far as schools and each one being its own entity. You've got some great charter schools and private schools up in Greeley, and then obviously higher education. Not that everybody who lives in Greeley goes to UNC, but the University of Northern Colorado, obviously a big hub there. And I grew up in Colorado, have plenty of friends who are alumni of the University of Northern Colorado. They actually had a relatively recent national championship college football team. That was pretty exciting for the area. But overall, great university, extremely popular, and a big focus of Greeley as a whole. As far as the economy of Greeley, there's plenty of people who will drive to other locations. There's people who probably, make the drive from Greeley all the way down to Denver, if you will. It's roughly about an hour and 10-minute drive from Greeley to Denver. Somebody in the comments will debate me. It's fine. Google. But Greeley also has a lot of its own economical pieces in place based on agriculture, education, healthcare, finance. Obviously, again, the University of Northern Colorado, a big fixture in their economy with jobs in that area. Also big in the area, JBS USA, as well as Banner Health. Healthcare, a lot of different centers up in Greeley. Healthcare, certainly a big economic factor within the Greeley community. And you can't go anywhere without having, some arts. You gotta have some art, and even Greeley has some art. So within that, you have the Union Colony Civic Center and the Greeley History Museum, both these nice cultural landmarks you can visit. Some quick housing figures as of the making of this video. A detached median list price for homes in Greeley set at $499,949. So that was pretty specific, again, as of the making of this video. Renting a detached single family home sat at $1,900. Your median condo list price was $345,000, and your median rent for a condo was $1,454. So obviously, if you're watching at this point, you're going, okay, I'm looking at Greeley, I'm seeing these, what makes it affordable? Why is it more affordable than other areas? Well, as far as Greeley's reputation, if you will, Greeley is, again, it's kind of out there. You're 50 miles away from Denver, so it's not a quick drive to Denver. It's an hour 10. You're, a good 30, 45 minutes from Fort Collins. You're away from the mountains. You're not necessarily on just flat plains, although it is relatively flat there. It's a lot of farmland. So Greeley has kind of a reputation that you're out there. You're kind of in the sticks, if you will. You're not really close to anything necessarily. Growing up, Greeley, the one time we went there every year was to go to the Denver Broncos training camp, which is no longer there. It's now in Denver. So is there a knock on Greeley? Not really. It's just distant from a lot of different communities. There's not a lot built infrastructure-wise around it. But as far as the community itself, I have plenty of people who have moved there, plenty of people who enjoy it, and that affordability balance certainly helps. Are you going to tend to see, the newest communities and the newest builds and the newest developments and the most master planned neighborhoods? No, not for the most part. But are there some great communities to explore? Absolutely. That's the whole reason we're talking about it today. Now, moving roughly 40 to 45 minutes south of Greeley is Brighton, Colorado. And Brighton is a bit more convenient 20-mile drive from Denver. So you'll have a lot of people who live in Brighton who will commute to Denver on a pretty consistent basis. They'll take I-76 highway down into the city. Now, Brighton was founded in 1887. It was actually named after Brighton Beach, New York. Did I plan on talking about 2 affordable towns in Colorado that were randomly named after things in New York? No, that just happened. That's not why they're affordable, but there you go. Brighton Beach, New York becomes Brighton, Colorado. So Brighton is less than half the size of Greeley. As of 2023, its population sat at 45,000. No major university. Brighton's just kind of a cool small town with a lot going for it. And what I mean by that is Brighton seems to be gaining momentum, at least in my opinion and in my industry. There's a lot of people paying attention to Brighton and looking towards it, and for some reasons obviously that we're going to get into. So among some of the cooler neighborhoods you're going to check out in Brighton are Bromley Park. You're going to look at Brighton East Farms, and you're going to look at the Preserve. Each of them, and all of the neighborhoods there have some really unique perspectives. Now, one of the key factors that I will mention as far as affordability in Brighton, and this was something that interested me, I started picking the brain of realtors that I work with and that I'm around, is you have a lot of you have some older homes in Brighton, but you also have a lot of new construction. You got a lot of new development happening in Brighton, and yet the price points in Brighton for detached homes, townhomes, condos was lower than you might find in communities such as Lafayette, certainly Louisville, Erie. Erie is a community north of Denver that not necessarily that I would draw a comparison to, but homes in Erie tend to have a higher price point. And the answer was that in Brighton, a lot of the builds are smaller. So maybe some of these other communities, you might see a lot of the houses have 4-bedroom, 3-bath. Whereas in Brighton, certainly you have 4-bed, 3-bath options, but you might see some newer construction that has 3-bed, 2-bath, where it is a narrower, taller build, where maybe the lot size is smaller, but maybe you're getting still a quality home at a lower price point, which at the end of the day, a lot of people I talk to, that's the focus. As much as they would love a mansion, they understand you're on a reasonable budget. You want to get the most bang for your buck. So among your amenities in Brighton, certainly, some shopping, some restaurants, some bars. Along with that, you have the Prairie Center, which is a really cool shopping, networking area to be around. So the Prairie Center, definitely something you're going to want to check out. Among the festivals, the little community events there in Brighton, you have the Brighton Summerfest, you have the Festival of Lights and Parade, you have Market Day. You got a lot of different entertainment and a lot of different just community events, again, bringing people together. And I think that, the more I pay attention to some of these communities, the more you see it. I always knew it in a place like Parker, Colorado, where they always talk about their community events. But I think anywhere you go, you start to find these. Brighton has done a great job of it. A lot of adult-friendly stuff, a lot of family-friendly stuff, kid-friendly stuff. My friends that have families and kiddos up there rave about it. So certainly plenty to do. And outdoor activities, again, Brighton, you are in the direction away from the mountains, so you got a bit of a drive there, but still, plenty of trails, plenty of walkability. You have Barr Lake, B-A-R-R, Barr Lake State Park out there. Great to get the boat out, spend a day out on the water, paddle boarding, you name it. So great activities there, but plenty of reasons to get outdoors. Again, it's Colorado, one way or another. Sun's usually out. You're going to find a reason to get outside and enjoy it. So schools in Brighton are covered by School District 27J. Again, typically you're going to see higher rated schools throughout Colorado. Brighton is no exception. And as I mentioned with Greeley, still do your due diligence as far as individual schools. Plenty of charter schools, private schools. Brighton High School, highly rated. A lot of good elementary schools. And again, for what it's worth, the conversations I have, whether it's people who have moved here, fellow industry professionals, realtors who live there with their families, they have very good things to say about the schools there. I would hope you'd find the same responses. As far as the economy of Brighton, not necessarily as isolated as a Greeley is with farms and whatnot. A lot of people in Brighton will make the drive, whether it's down into Denver, over to Boulder, into Broomfield for tech positions, you name it. And within Brighton, you do have obviously several employers. This includes Vestas, Platte Valley Medical Center, and there's a lot of Adams County government jobs there in Brighton as well. Again, Adams County, the county that Brighton is within, has a lot of its offices, a lot of its foundation there in Brighton. Arts and culture, you got the Armory Performing Center. So, you know, I like to just get a little arts in class in Brighton. And then as far as healthcare, within the Brighton area, you have access to Platte Valley Medical Center. There's various clinics around the city. So, you know, healthcare, again, plenty of options. And again, also not too far. Going over some quick housing figures on Brighton. Detached median list price sat at $599,097 if you want to get specific. Detached median rent sat at $2,795. Median list price of condos was $430,000, and the median rent for a condo was $2,056. I mean, the knock on Brighton, here's the bottom line. And it's funny because it's not the same as Greeley, but you kind of get the same vibe. Like, it's out there, but it's not that far out there. Brighton is not that long of a drive from Denver. You are, again, headed for an area where people love the Rocky Mountains. You're kind of heading in the wrong direction. You're headed north, northeast from Denver. But again, if you're going to the mountains, you can get on I-76 from Brighton, and I-76 is going to take you right into I-70. You're going to get into the mountains. So not that far. Brighton also has pretty quick access to the airport that could be beneficial for a lot of people. So I think that, are you far from Denver where you're not going to make that drive just all the time on a whim and get there in 15 minutes? No. But is it so extensive that you're just never going to get to Denver? Also no. Overall, I think Brighton has a decent location. I think it has a lot going for it. If you want to be close to Denver, Brighton might not be for you. Brighton really might not be for you either if the goal is to be super close to Denver. If you don't mind having a little distance, the affordability combined with the benefits of those towns, I think they're worth checking out, which is why we're having this conversation in the first place, and which is also why you should hit me up. Give me a call, shoot me a text, shoot me an email. Know that I'm always the person answering those phone calls, answering those texts, answering those emails. There, winning if you need me. This is Destination Denver, Colorado. I'm your host, Jimmy Everts. That was the most affordable towns in Colorado, exploring Greeley and Brighton, Brighton and Greeley, you name it. Till I see you next time. Peace.